Welcome to the EuroLeague podcast. I'm the host, Donatas Urbonas. I'm joined by Augustas Šuliauskas, Rytis Vyšniauskas. Hello, everyone. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello,
Good
guys.
morning.
How are you doing?
We're extremely good, actually. Like Martin Schiller would say, we're extremely good because we have some nice late birthday gifts to our one-of-the-kind Rytis Vyšniauskas, who's already having some nice retro Seattle Supersonics t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's from Philippines
Yeah.
because I saw it in Philippines NBA store.
Yeah. I was just visiting that NBA store like
Every-
3 or 4 times during my stay because you don't get these prices in Europe. A hat that costs 60 or 70 euros in Europe, you could buy that for 40 in Manila. So I got some shirts, Sonics, Knicks.
We all had this
Doncic.
guilty pleasure to go to NBA store once in a while during our breaks in the World Cup.
And I actually met Lithuanian national team players a couple of times there, Luca Banchi.
Okay.
So some other players from other national teams.
What Luca Banchi was buying?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know the man, so I did not really have a conversation with him, and I'm not that curious to look to somebody else's shopping basket. So I'm not sure, but he was there definitely.
Yeah, and we actually have some late birthday present to you by skstore.eu, and you can unpack your gift box. And we just celebrated those gifts last week, and we were
item number one. Item number one. Let's see what we have here.
And I had this question before you're gonna unpack anything.
Yeah,
Nobody knew what's coming in those boxes. What would be
I had no idea.
the team, the merch that you would be the most unhappy for?
Unhappy.
Yeah.
August got Charlotte Hornets.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to represent Charlotte in any way, shape, or form.
But the color of that's
It's a nice jersey.
Because of what's happening
but
lately.
It doesn't bring me good associations. I don't like Charlotte and what they're doing, what they're cooking over there.
Only one team on your blacklist, right?
Probably, yeah. Basically.
Okay.
Okay. What do we have here? It's basically just
Another
a retro jersey with all the teams from West and the East listed here on the back. It's a really nice, it's not a jersey, it's a t-shirt. It's a really nice tee.
And a nice color
I
as
love
well.
it. Thank you, SK Store. Nice color, yeah, as well.
Yeah.
All right, so number one is great.
Yeah, just in case, SK Store is one of the biggest basketball stores in Europe, which offers you to browse through some finest basketball equipment from the best brands in the market, such as Nike, Jordan Brand, Adidas, Puma, and others. Check it out at skstore.eu.
Number two.
Oh,
I
see the logo.
I see what's happening. I see what's
I
happening.
see the logo.
And I'm thinking,
It was predictable.
Is it going to be a retro jersey? Is it going to be a new jersey?
But we see that we made some special requests for Rytis.
It is Jeremy Sochan.
Sohan.
Is it Sohan?
I think it's Sohan.
He's Polish. How do you
half
pronounce
Polish,
that?
Polish American.
Okay, I would go with Sochan, but if it's Sohan,
I think it's Sohan.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, never mind.
You know, if it's Christmas time and a kid is getting a present under the Christmas tree and he's unboxing it and he's seeing Spurs and he's thinking, finally my Wembanyama jersey is here. And all of a sudden, but.
Hey, that's Wembanyama's point guard right now.
Yeah, he's going to play point guard. It's going to be interesting. And I like him, actually. I like the way he is brave enough to experiment with his free throw routines and seems like a really nice guy. So
it's a nice
it's
jersey.
a great gift.
And it's
It's
a really good
Sohan,
quality
so-
as well.
Yeah, I can see that. I actually have a Spurs jersey with my name on the back of it. Now I will have Sohan. I have Ginobili from Kinder Bologna. So I have enough of
Starting five of Spurs.
Of Spurs.
Are you going to
Merchandise.
start? Are you going to start shooting free throws one-handed now? And dye your hair?
I won't dye my hair, although I'm getting some gray hair recently. But shooting free throws with one hand, it wouldn't hurt me. I don't feel I would have any difference.
Makes any difference.
If I would just shoot it with my right hand, I think I'd have my usual 70%.
Okay.
Okay, and now we have a pair of shoes.
Ooh,
These are always nice.
to shoot your free
Ooh.
throws.
Shoot my free throws. Nikes.
Ooh, what a
That's
colors.
nice.
Great
That's
colors.
actually the best basketball shoes that we got.
I'm not a
I think so.
sneakerhead, so I don't know what type are those, but I like it. I love it. I'm definitely gonna.
Wait, let me
Yeah.
check.
And
Yeah.
on skstar.eu, you can check not only for basketball merch or basketball related equipment, but also for just regular clothing and stuff. A lot of great offers over there
And the last one.
from our friends skstar.eu.
And the last one.
Oh,
Also Nike.
these from now on we all have to wear this one in all our podcasts because
Okay.
we got the same. So since sometimes when
got
I
the
rewatch
memo.
those episodes,
I got the memo. You know?
Yeah, I see.
Actually, most of my shoes, most of my streetwear is kind of like this, just with different colors. So
You never can go wrong with black and white. So
I'm super happy with these gifts. Thank you, skstore.eu. And once again, I didn't know what I was gonna get. So if I was angry and not happy, I would say that. So definitely, all of these are great. Thank you so much.
yeah, speaking of gifts, I remember I was texting Augustas Šliauskas on Saturday morning about the potential podcast topics that we might bring into the podcast. And, it was not that easy. We had some nice games, controversial games, and there were some topic ideas here and there. But it was not like I was also thinking about something extra because it felt like the upcoming podcast was about to lack something more. I was looking
spicy.
for something, spicy and some controversial, bold topics.
Like Coach Popovich says, I need some nasty.
Some nasty. And Crvena Zvezda Belgrade delivered some nasty. Saturday evening, I'm just enjoying my shisha, enjoying my drinks, and I'm just watching, getting actually calls before the official announcement that, hey, take a look, something is happening. And then, bam, there's a tweet, official tweets at around, it was 8 at night or something.
Something like that. Something like that.
That Dusko Ivanovic is out. So thank you, Crvena Zvezda Belgrade, for delivering these gifts for our content, for our podcast. So we not need to think of some additional ideas.
You can count on them every early season, basically.
Every November, October.
October, November, they're going to give us one podcast, where we can talk about exactly this particular topic.
Just a few facts before we start analyzing this move. The first coaching change last season happened in mid-November. Now it's October 23rd, and we have 3 of 18 EuroLeague teams already fired their head coaches, and more firings are incoming. And it's the first time we have 3 firings as early as October 22nd. And as I said, it's not the last one for sure. Mike James, by the way, I love how active Mike James is on Twitter recently. He just tweeted straight following the news about Dusko. Brand new team, 4 games in, and didn't have any bad losses. People got to learn to be a little more patient in Europe. So the question to you guys, you're in or out regarding Dusko Ivanovic firing?
I'm definitely out. And I think Mike said it best, like, there were no bad losses. It's not like they were underperforming and dropping games by 20, 30 points. They had this issue with fourth quarters, with closing games, but basically they played solid basketball versus Žalgiris, versus Monaco. They could have snatched both of those wins. It's just that, again, that fourth quarter issue happened, and I don't think it's unsolvable. I don't think they were in some huge trouble or anything like that. Probably 5 days before the firing, August released a video or a breakdown about how Zvezda should be fine, something like that.
Oh, on the same day.
On the same day.
on Saturday morning.
I thought it was earlier, so yeah.
Thank God we posted it before.
So to me, it's crazy. It just shows how unjust the world of basketball is, especially here in Europe. But also at the same time, I haven't been to that locker room. I haven't been to in the front offices of Zvezda. I don't know. Maybe they had some disagreements with the coach. These things happen, and it sometimes leads to unexpected news like this. Because if you look at the results, there's nothing wrong. I mean, you lost games, yeah, but you have to look at the context, how you lost, who you played. they reacted immediately. They probably had this plan B prepared. Who they gonna sign to replace Dusko Ivanovic? So you cannot really compare this firing with, let's say, TG Parker's, because that's a different story. He's been there for a long time. He didn't deliver results. He got some credit, but they started season poorly. And what ASVEL did to me makes sense. What Zvezda did, it's strange. But again, I don't know anything from inside of the club.
And I think that's really important. We don't know what's happening inside the club. And although I think, 4 games is definitely not enough for a coach to reach something with a new team, like you need more time, that's for sure. But we all know that Dusko is at his best when he's coming in to fix teams, when some teams might have not enough, structure. Maybe the old coach cannot ask his players to play some defense, to be, more aggressive. That's where Dusko comes in. He is the best, like we saw multiple times already, and we saw last season with Zvezda. He comes in, they win, they go on a winning streak, they add Campazzo, but they don't get that much better with more offensive talent in Campazzo. They don't reach the playoffs. They are, slacking in some games. So we talked in the summer, like Dusko remained the head coach, but they signed so many offensive players when their coach is actually defensive minded and structure minded. So I don't think this roster with Shabazz, Milos, Nemanja Nedovic need, a lot of structure. And it's not like this team is going to be a defensive team. I think this team needs, scorers, needs freedom to express themselves, not to fit in some kind of structure. So this firing so early, I don't agree with that, because you simply don't really let a coach have enough time with this completely new team. They changed like 10 players, I think. 11 players in the offseason. So he definitely didn't have enough time, but I think, we don't know something from inside. Maybe the relationship with the players was bad, or the GM. The GM saw that, the players were not giving, I don't know, enough. But as I wrote and as I said even last week on the podcast, they solved a couple of things, and this is a really solid team. They were not playing bad. They couldn't close out a couple of games in the end. They could have been 3-1 easily right now. Instead, they are 1-3, and they already have a new coach.
Yeah, I don't support this decision, because I remember that in the last pod, my main idea was like they were Shabazz Napier playing his regular game away from winning 2 games. If Shabazz Napier was playing to his standards, I think that they would have closed those both games against Žalgiris and even against Monaco. And for sure he gonna return. He will bounce back, and Shabazz Napier will play his regular basketball that he's capable of. And your best scorer, your top paid player shouldn't be on the bench to close out those games, and you shouldn't finish games with Milos Teodosic. He can spark your team during the game. He can play some good stretches, but I want Shabazz Napier on the court to decide those games. So he will be fine. And I said that Zvezda also will be fine. So I don't think that Dusko Ivanovic was a major problem, but I tried to check, as you mentioned, maybe there was something inside happening between the coach and the management, for instance. And there were a lot of speculations before. I remember even on our BasketNews BN Plus WhatsApp chat that we have for exclusively BN Plus subscribers, basketnews.com/plus. Even on that chat, there were some rumors, because we have whole different people inside that chat. Some have their legit sources, some are just regular fans, some are even working in basketball organizations. And they mentioned that there potentially have been some conflicts with Milos Teodosic, that there was maybe the reason why Nemanja Bjelica is not playing for Red Star is also related to Dusko Ivanovic. We don't see Iago dos Santos playing, and from what I heard that, it's Dusko's way of handling his transition to the EuroLeague. By a couple of sources, I was told that no, there were no major conflicts or something that would be, let's say, the main reason why they decided to cut Dusko Ivanovic. Even vice versa, I know that a lot of players were really surprised by a quick decision. Maybe there were some signals, but nobody expected that it can happen that soon. There were no major problems between Dusko and the management. The relationship was perfect. Dusko Ivanovic is beloved head coach over there. We also saw it from their statements. He did a good job last season as well. But I think that, if you look at Zvezda's history, I checked all the head coaches they had. Okay, Wikipedia is not the most trustworthy source, but usually they put these factual things in pretty correct way. So since 2000s, only 2 head coaches worked 2 full seasons in Zvezda. It was Dejan Radonjic, for sure. I think it was in 2 different tenures. And also Mr. Shakota in early 2000s. Then they had so many coaches that nobody worked there over more than 2 seasons. And when I started digging in, what was the main reason why Dusko left? One of the main reasons was actually, it's Zvezda. It's a very demanding organization. And the Balkan region itself is a very demanding region because they don't have a long-term license in the EuroLeague. They need quick results. They need quick changes to win. The stakes are very high. We all remember their president Čović setting the goals for the season, Final Four. It already tells a lot. And I believe that it comes not from a personal ambition of Mr. Čović. I think it believes from sponsors as well, or agreements and promises you made in Belgrade. And also, I've also heard that one of the reasons was that we shouldn't analyze just the beginning of this season. We should analyze the entire tenure of Dusko Ivanovic in Red Star, and it includes some losses, same like this season against Žalgiris or Monaco, in some games that they had to win against their rivals, for the top 8. They didn't deliver in closing out games. And we all remember the last season when before Campazzo's return, Dusko started with 6-0 run in the EuroLeague. But before Campazzo's return, suddenly they started to dropping games against ALBA, against Žalgiris, against somebody else. Even when Campazzo came back, there were some disappointing games. So we shouldn't, and of course they didn't win ALBA League as well. So we shouldn't focus only on the start of the season, but we should look at the same whole process. And from what I understood, hearing those reasons, that they didn't see much of an improvement and a change competing against their rivals for the playoff positions, and maybe they saw the trend in losing games, losing 4 quarters.
But again, I would agree with that. If
change the coach in the summer,
if Dusko had more or less the same roster, let's say Campazzo left, they replace him with Shabazz, but all the other guys are more or less the same. Then I would say, okay, so there's continuity, and they still have the same issues from the last season. Maybe you could consider changing the coach. But we're talking about 11 new players.
Yeah, I'm not going to advocate the information I've got, but
I'm reacting to what you said. And I am never happy to see a man losing his job, whether I like him or not. I'm not a fan of Dusko Ivanovic or anything like that. To me, this firing is just cruel and unfair. But okay, they're signing a really great coach right now. So it's not like they're turning in the wrong way. But I just feel a bit sad for Dusko Ivanovic.
Yeah, so what do you think about the new head coach? What changes do you expect from Ioannis Sfairopoulos? A 2-year deal. He didn't have a job last season, so he was out, and he left Maccabi in the mid-season. So basically, he was 2 years out of active head coaching. But we all know his resume: Olympiacos, Maccabi. He had some great stretches as well. He's a well-respected coach in the EuroLeague. What kind of changes do you expect in Red Star?
I believe he's a great coach. First of all, I believe he can give Shabazz Napier his confidence back. Sfairopoulos has been coaching great guards, and they were really happy in his system. We're talking Spanoulis, we're talking Wilbekin. Maybe the way it all ended for him in Maccabi wasn't as beautiful as it could have been, but I think his tenure in Maccabi was a success. He was unlucky. In the 1920 season, that was the pandemic season, they were 4th in the standings. They had 19 wins from 28 games. They were playing great basketball. And all of a sudden, the season ended with nothing. And then Maccabi was heavily affected by COVID. They didn't have money to sign big players to improve the roster. Wilbekin was getting injured all the time, and
the preseason was screwed as well. So they
they had a
started
bad
without
preseason.
basically no
Then,
preseason.
as far as I remember, in the 2021 season, they lost so many games by 1 to 5 points margins and overtime losses and stuff like that. So everything seemed fine. They couldn't make it to the playoffs. He was so unlucky about that COVID season. And I'm expecting good things for Zvezda with the signing of Coach Sfairopoulos. I think he's a guard-oriented coach, if you could say that.
Yeah.
We will see, but he definitely will have those tools here. Maybe he will be the one who will unleash Iago dos Santos and make him a proper EuroLeague player. That could be another expectation. I believe that other teams were interested in him even last season when they were changing coaches. They probably were considering him, or maybe even had some negotiations. We even talked about him as a possible candidate for Žalgiris when Martin Schiller
he had Žalgiris offer,
was fired. So it's not like he was out of the radar. And the way Zvezda reacted quickly, probably he was their number one option.
Yeah, and I mean, and he is also kind of something the closest to Dusko Ivanovic and his style, but I would say a little bit nicer version of Dusko Ivanovic. I mean, he likes discipline on and off the court, but from what I heard, his tenure in Maccabi Tel Aviv made him more flexible because it was the situation, organization, the way it's structured, the team, the players they get. It requires you to make some kind of adjustments, and he became just a little bit more flexible, both on and off the court. And from what I heard, one of his advantages over Dusko was also that he has a little bit better approach to the players. He can connect to the locker room maybe a little bit better, not that kind of old school as Dusko Ivanovic. And his style, I mean, he was also, although guard-oriented, somebody who can relish the potential of his guards, but he was also defensive-minded head coach. If you look at his time in Maccabi, in the 3 consecutive years since 2018 to 21, Maccabi was top 5 defensive team in the EuroLeague per BBolytics, according to their defensive rating. So that might be an improvement for Red Star as well, because so far they were struggling in the second halves, allowing top 3 worst points in the second half, so almost 43.
But he's coming into a good situation. Like, this is the number 1 offensive rebounding team. This is the second team that has the least amount of turnovers. All they need to do is, let's say, get their shooting in rhythm intact. But I expect this to be much better. With Shabazz, he already showed in Bologna what he is able to do. Maybe not as good as field goal percentage, but he will be much better, pretty soon. I have no doubts about it. So he doesn't need to change much. I think on court, I think probably the way he manages people and the way he manages rotations is his most important task in coming into Crvena Zvezda.
Should we expect roster changes?
I heard that we might expect roster changes, and there might be some changes in their front line. So far, there were some, let's say, like I'm hearing some information that they might bring a really solid player to their front line, and it might replace one of the bigs that they have. At the same point, there are some denials regarding that information, so we'll see how the situation will turn out. But for sure, they might do some changes, and they have some money left for these kind of moves. Although you think that the roster is, they have more than enough players on their roster, but Sfairopoulos should bring at least one new player to their team.
Just like we talked in the summer, they brought in really, really similar level type of players, all in their front court, like 6 or 7 guys at the same level, and they're kind of missing this, some big punch right there, some really big time name, big time players. So if they can add that, I think they're really stacked to make a good run in the EuroLeague this year.
Yeah, just fun stat that might not mean anything, but I remember a year or 2 ago I made a little research, and I counted that 28 in-season coaching changes happened in the EuroLeague since the new format in 2016. And in 5 years, only on 5 occasions, new coaches managed to orchestrate their teams to the top 8. So it might mean nothing, basically, because it's very, very early stage of the season, and Red Star has a lot of potential with the roster and potential moves. But just some indicator regarding the changes and teams' expectations regarding coaching changes, especially as quick as into the season. And speaking of, again, this is very, we don't want to be bad messengers. We don't like to promote coaches firing, but Joan Penroy is another coach on the hot seat. Obviously, I mean, they lost 3 home games in the EuroLeague already, and during the entire 2022-23 season, they lost 3 home games. Their game seems to have a lot of problems. They also lost the last ACB game, and it was kind of, information coming from the sources that, that might be his Penroy's do or die game. If you lose,
and Baskonia is another organization that is known for changing coaches a lot.
And that's a good point. Someone is open who...
Man. When you have Dusko Ivanovic available, no matter who you are, if you're Joan Penroy, if you're Šarūnas Jasikevičius, or you're Greg Popovich, you should be scared. You're on a hot seat already.
Dusko will be back, and they will pay $500,000 buyout for Rokas Giedraitis.
You heard it here first, right?
No, but they have some serious defensive issues. There is no
I would say offensive issues
chemistry,
as well.
no trust.
They have issues everywhere.
Okay, offensive issues, of course, for sure. But these, in my eyes, are solvable. Like, you can work with Marcus Howard, maybe have a different approach. You can create some chemistry. You have talent. You might need to add a point guard. But, I mean, okay, I can see how they will score in the future. But that defense, what I saw versus Žalgiris, that was terrible.
Non-existent.
I don't think I've seen worse defensive performance in a long time in EuroLeague.
Probably not. Like, I was preparing for that game, watching their games in the EuroLeague, and I was like, Žalgiris are going to win more than 10 points this away game easily.
Yeah. It's a miracle that all of a sudden became a 5-point game in the middle of the fourth quarter.
Chima Moneke suddenly became Marcus Howard there, in the middle of the game. So
transition freeze and all that.
Stopping for transition freeze. So, I mean, he played a fantastic game, but the way they play defense, and it's like you said, their offense is a solvable task. But I think, we always praise how Baskonia do great job scouting and signing players in the summer. I don't think they replicated that this summer. In offense, at some points they have 3 guys that are not shooters. And how can Marcus Howard do something, efficiently if he has 3 guys on the same lineup that are not shooters? So everybody just concentrates on him.
Yeah.
2 guys on him, and then there is help coming to the paint, and they are allowing other guys to shoot. Cody Miller-McIntyre, they're going under with every screen of this guy. Their offense is not working. And then when Baskonia doesn't score, their defense just gets even worse. So they really look bad, terrible.
It is as simple as you beat your man on the perimeter, and there's no rim protection. You're going for a layup
4 or 5
every
times
single time.
Happened.
And then, of course, Žalgiris played really smart basketball. The way they use their shooting big man in pick and pop situations. I love that play where Ulanovas got a ball in the post. And there was some off-ball movement, off-ball screens for Brady Manick to get open. I mean, Žalgiris just basically did a clinic in that game, and they pointed the finger to every weakness that Baskonia has.
Yep, and there were a lot of them. So
there were a lot. Last season they were not known for their defense, but they had Darius Thompson running the show, so they were playoff contenders, and they could beat teams 110-100 in Buesa Arena. It's no longer the case, and to me, what is strange is that I always associate these Baskonia teams with greatness in point guard position. Whether it's Darius Thompson from last season or Mike James, Zoran Planinic, Pablo Prigioni, and all the other guys from the past, Shane Larkin. I mean, they would always have Thomas Sertel even in his prime. They would always have a great point guard. That was where they have the most quality. Basically every season since the modern EuroLeague started. This year, they don't really have it anymore. They're becoming sort of a forward-oriented team, but it's not what they are used to doing. And it's not like Chima Moneke with Tadas Adekerskis will win you games on their own. I get it why Joan Peñarol is on a hot seat, but if a new coach comes in, he is in for a really, really tough job. I mean, Zvezda, Sfairopoulos, I think he's in a good position to start winning games straight away. Baskonia, if they replace Joan Peñarol, I don't think the new coach will have it easy.
That's why I think it's more of a, the roster structure. The problem is the roster structure, not the coach as much. And they have the 16th worst offense after 4 rounds. They're scoring only 104 points in 100 possessions. Last year, they were the 3rd best offense in the whole season.
Yeah, and they had Darius Thompson.
They had Darius Thompson and Rokas Giedraitis. And these are the 2 players that left. And look,
Nikos Argopoulos is not playing, basically.
Yeah.
And Cody Miller-McIntyre, he has his own limitations. Nico Mannion still needs, time to get back to his Italy national team and Tokyo Olympics shape. So yeah.
How desperate are you when you're down 10 and you're playing a lineup with Mannion and Howard and you're playing Swiss all defense? You're pretty desperate at that time.
And just to round up this topic about the head coaching changes, what would be your guess since 2017? Which teams made the most coaching changes?
Since 2017?
Yeah. 6 years.
Baskonia has to be one of those teams.
Baskonia and Zvezda.
And you're missing one team.
Okay.
Actually, 2 teams.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Panathinaikos.
Correct.
And
Fener.
Not.
Valencia?
Not Valencia. Not Maccabi. Maccabi actually is one of the best organizations for head coaches. Only with 3 head coaching changes since 2017.
Who could it
I'm not
be?
counting interim.
Let's stop here for a minute. Only with Maccabi is one of the best organizations for head coaches, and you say only with 3 coaching changes.
In 6 years, which means every 2 years they have a new head coach. That's the European basketball.
That's the reality.
That sounds so bad.
That's the reality of professional sports in Europe.
Yeah.
If a coach works 2 back-to-back seasons in the same organization, it's already treated as success. That's the world we're living in right now.
First 5-game losing streak. The door is right there.
So, one more, right?
Yeah.
And not Fenerbahce.
Nope.
Virtus?
They're close, but not. Okay, I will help you. Partizan. Because we have this, shield of Željko Bradovic, but before him there were a lot of changes.
I wasn't focusing on them that
changes.
much because they were
they weren't in the EuroLeague.
They were in the Euro Cup. They didn't have this big budget. I remember they started some nice project with Trinkieri, but it didn't really last long.
So Panathinaikos had, I would say, 7-8 head coach changes since 2017. Zvezda 8, Partizan 7. And again, I tried not to include those interim coaches, but in some situations, the interim coach suddenly takes over the team until the end of the season for a few months. So I kind of counted them in as well. Baskonia 6 coaching changes, and among the best organizations for head coaches, we actually have Efes because Ataman was working there for 6 years. So they have 2 coaches. Milan since 2017 only 2 coaches. ALBA Berlin 2 coaching changes, 2 coaches, and Olympiacos 2 coaches after David Blatt left, and then Yorgos Barsokas took over. I didn't include Kemzura because he worked there for like 1 month. Or I should have included him, but I tried to be very...
Did he work on an interim coach status or
it was very tricky. He started on an interim coach, but he left like in month or 2, so I didn't count him in. And Madrid 2 coaching changes. So these are the
forced coaching changes.
Yeah.
That basically wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Okay. There are at least a couple of games we have to discuss more in depth. And we will go with Panathinaikos, Maccabi, and Olympiacos, Partizan. But before we start analyzing those games more in depth, let's put this elephant out of the room. What do you think about the referees and officiating in those two games? Because there were a lot of action on Twitter. Of course, refereeing, officiating is something that you will always find reasons to complain, but these were a little bit, I would say, exceptional cases.
Probably for the first time, I'm going to say that the refs really changed the outcome of that Partizan and Olympiacos game. I mean, you know, Kevin Punter, like Thomas Walkup steps on Kevin's shoe for 2 times, and he doesn't get a foul called. And Kevin Punter, before passing the ball, he doesn't touch the half court, so it's not like a half court violation. And it's the ball for Olympiacos. So I thought that was a huge, no foul, no backward violation. No foul, no backward violation. It was a huge...
And it was just one of the plays.
It was one of the plays.
I had this strange feeling about Smailagic foul on Papanikolaou that also cost Partizan 2 free throws for Olympiacos. And there was another moment, I just don't remember which one, but I had like 3 plays, very, very questionable. And these were like 3 consecutive plays. But what made Partizan fans mad when I tweeted that I didn't like officiating both ways, because, I turned the game in the 4th quarter, there are 2 minutes left, and basically play after play, there are very questionable calls. I mean, I'm not saying mistakes for sure, because you have to watch the replay, you have to analyze it with the referees, because, I'm not the expert at that. But it started with 2 consecutive Olympiacos situations where Papanikolaou was hit by Kevin Punter in his face. I thought that it was an offensive foul.
But that was a game situation. Like I didn't think that was a foul.
I think so.
It was like Kevin was driving and their hands were tangling together, and he just like doing a completely move, basketball move going towards the rim, and
but at the same time you hit the face of the player and he couldn't continue his defensive, let's say, effort. So I think it impacts the play. And,
I don't know.
Hitting into the face is not kind of allowed, or tolerated.
Even on did you see the contact on the replay? Yeah, because for me it was kind of unclear. I don't know, maybe I was watching wrong, but I don't know.
I mean, it was you don't need a big contact when you slap somebody with your hand.
Okay, maybe you're right. Yeah, but
and there was the following play where I thought, again, there were no close replays with close looks, but I thought when Nigel Williams-Goss took it was a jumper from the free throw line and he was contested by Kevin Punter, I really thought that KP touched his elbow. And when you touch your elbow, it's not like you need a big contact. It just putting the hand on the elbow, it changes the shot dramatically. And I think that Goss tried to show it to the referees, but nobody noticed that. And I thought that, that was a foul and it was important play. And after that, there were 3 consecutive questionable calls where I was like, that's why I put this tweet. I wasn't a fan of officiating, and I didn't like officiating both ways, because, that's the main difference between being a fan and let's say, not only journalist, just a basketball fan in general, not supporting Partizan or Olympiacos. I was not happy with the officiating because it damaged the whole quality of the entire game. And for me, it doesn't matter if I don't need to be a judge which team was affected by those mistakes or anything. The whole outcome of the game, the whole end of the game was already affected. And I'm, disappointed as a basketball fan because the quality of the product was affected. That's what I tried to put on Twitter, but of course I got some backlash from Partizan fans. So
I think, in this topic you could go,
how
about that call, where Punter hits his face and you don't call it, but then I can go back, but how about, or a Partizan fan can go back, but what about that another call? And then you can go back, you can find like 20 clips like this where it's like, it's a 50-50, and it was definitely decided a lot by the referees. And even I thought I was surprised really in the end when Walkup steals the ball from Punter from behind and there was no foul called. Like, when you play basketball and when you try to reach the ball from behind, it's so often, even if you don't make contact only with the ball, it gets called a foul, because this is like
9 times out of 10.
9 times out of 10. And this is the situation in the overtime where the game is like on the line. I was really surprised to not see a foul called there, and there was also some movement between their legs. So yeah, it was a really tough game for the referees overall. But I think both teams really played great. I just didn't understand Olympiacos' defense in that last possession when they were up 3. It was like ridiculous defense to me.
It was just a huge mistake. That's
mental break.
Panathinaikos.
Not only him, but like weird things. Like you are down 3, and you are not. Mustafa Fall is not guarding anyone. Is really back after free throws, standing into the paint. He's not guarding anyone when you know that Partizan are going to shoot a 3-pointer. So that was weird. The first thing, and then Papanikolaou is fronting the guy, and then not going back to defense, leaving a 5v4 situation. Yeah. Then Larenzakis trying there to go for a steal probably because he thinks Punter is going to do a cross-court pass. And this all completely big mental breakdown leaves James Nunnally wide open.
The worst guy to be open on the corner.
Absolutely. And I was really surprised by that defense by Olympiacos, but in the end, hey, they got the victory, so everything ended well for them. But it was not unnecessary, definitely, for them to play overtime.
What about Pau and Maccabi? You didn't see that game either, right?
No, I actually was busy commentating Monaco.
Yeah,
on both occasions.
I don't know. You said you did
Monaco and Žalgiris actually. Yeah,
you did not understood that foul on Lizor.
Yeah, I was again. I'm not the expert, so I just kind of felt weird that it was he got the call. I don't know. I didn't see anything that bad to get a foul with 7 seconds left.
Okay, but
maybe I didn't notice some side contacts or something, but I don't know.
Okay, I agree that probably Sorkin exaggerated a little bit the contact. I think
could have been the case.
I think there was some contact, but why the hell do you need to go for
the problem starts
an offensive
not
rebound?
With the officiating, but with the Matthias Lizor making this move.
You are up by 2. They miss a free throw. You miss a free throw. Why do you need to go for an offensive rebound when there is 7 seconds left? If Sorkin catches the basketball, he needs to give it to the point guard. There are no live ball timeouts, so it's like 5.5 seconds left when the point guard starts dribbling. And with all the defense, all the players standing, around the 3-point line, it's really hard to go all the way coast to coast and get a really nice look, even with 5 seconds remaining. So you just let Sorkin get the rebound and you live with the results. You don't need to go for this. It's not even a 50-50 ball. It's like 20-80 ball, not for your team. So,
okay, you might try to get an offensive rebound, but not that kind of that aggressive.
I think there's
as
no
Matthias
point.
Lizor did.
I saw the situation. I think there's no point to even go for the offensive rebound.
Yeah.
You miss the free throw and just rush back to defense, and that's it. You can meet your opponents at half court to basically stop them for a second, and a second in this situation already means a lot.
It's huge.
You don't need to even go there for an offensive rebound. You don't need to risk it. There's no need to have any sort of contact. So maybe we can discuss whether it's a foul or not, but it definitely wasn't a smart move by Lizor.
As I mentioned you guys before the podcast, it really brought me back to the 2004 Maccabi and Žalgiris game where Tanaka Bird made this unnecessary try.
But he needed the rebound, man. He needed those stats.
Yeah, that costed them the violation and Derek Sharp 3-point.
And then everyone's slaughtering the guy for missing free throws,
Yeah. So that was tough. But there was another situation. Did you have a closer look at Nebo's offensive rebounds? Didn't he stepped into the paint before Sorkin threw the ball out?
Let's rewind the situation.
Yeah, we can do it very quick.
Quick replay, huh?
The last shot that got him to overtime.
Yeah. It was crucial because Sorkin, they were down by 2. Sorkin has 2 free throws. He missed the first one, so they, had to miss the second one. And again, I'm not an expert, but I really thought that Nebo stepped into the paint.
Hey man, I remember that, and I get what you're saying.
The ball is Sorkin, the ball is still in Sorkin's hands, and Nebo has one foot inside.
You're probably right, but these referees are doing such a hard job, and when we're talking about crucial free throws, it's so hard for them to focus and to see that one step. Did he step in too early or not? Let's take Mikal Bridges' miraculous shot from the World Cup. I mean, it was clear there was also a violation.
There was not a violation, actually.
No?
I discussed it with the referees, and they saw it was all fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, then even better.
Because he didn't went over the line. He didn't step in.
Okay.
And it was right timing.
If he didn't go over, but okay.
But that's again...
looking at the replays, to all of us, it seemed like he did. But okay, even better. So they didn't even make a mistake in that situation. But it's so hard to expect. I mean, it's easy to expect the referee to blow a whistle for illegal step during the free throw in the middle of the second quarter. But in the crunch time, they're doing a tough job. I wouldn't be so hard on them for this one, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know that Panathinaikos fans will disagree and they will say that it's a huge mistake and all that. And I'm still waiting for it's early in the season, but I'm still waiting for my Twitter moment, which will end up in a huge beef with some Serbian or Greek fans. It hasn't happened yet, but it's definitely coming.
You know, it's one of those things like with Crvena Zvezda firing a coach early and it is getting bad messages.
It's going to happen eventually. It's going to be some innocent tweet about something that happened on the court or off the court, and it will blow up. And I will definitely get into all those beefs because I do respond to everyone.
That's probably why they write you. They know you will respond. Anyway, I thought maybe giving kudos to some players that played very well in these games.
Before the last play,
there's
what do you think about
ejection.
Ataman's ejection?
You are getting a second technical after a review that the referees made. So is there much to talk about?
Actually,
really?
Can you have any empathy? Like, why? So there was a review. I get that you're complaining, so you're getting the review, and the referee watched the replays and made a decision.
For quite some time. They watched the review
Did you
for quite
watch
some
the
time.
replays?
Yeah.
Did you have the same angles that the referee did?
And to be honest, when I watched the game, when I watched the replay, at first I thought that was clear unsportsmanlike foul because, there was some action that stopped Mitoglou from, full sprinting for a layup. And, if there was no review, I would understand why Ataman was mad. And I would say, hey, the guy was right. The game is rigged and, EuroLeague Mafia and all this stuff. But then when I watched the replay, again, I'm not an expert, but I really thought that Mitoglou just left his hand somewhere on Cohen, I think.
There was Jay Cohen there.
On Cohen's shoulder or somewhere, and he kind of initiated that strange contact that went anywhere. And, it was a normal foul call. There was some kind of contact, but no unsportsmanlike action. So after watching the review for like 2 or 3 minutes, you have to trust two referees officiating the EuroLeague game. So
it's absurd to even have this discussion after a review.
Yeah, a huge mental mistake by from coaching standpoint. When you have one technical already, so you know that you're out.
We're not talking about football where even after a review you will have discussions because these are difficult interpretations. In basketball, I think the criteria is pretty clear. What is an unsportsmanlike foul and what isn't. So after a review, there shouldn't be too much complaining, in my opinion. Anyway, it's nice having this referee inspector segment in our podcast.
Of course.
Finally.
Time from time, we have this.
It's round 4, right? So it's not that bad.
Instead of breaking down teams, analyzing player performances or stuff like that, we do referee inspection.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's healthy from time to time.
That's really nice. I love it. When I watch basketball, all I want is to focus on the referee and see what he's doing. That's my passion.
What were you focused the most regarding the players?
Regarding the players or some
games?
things, I loved. First of all, I loved how Partizan, came back. I think in the third quarter, they used Smailagic 11 points in a row. There they had a 22-4 run in the third quarter, basically just attacking Mustafa Fall with pick and pops in a variety of ways. So he scored 11 points and this was probably one of the quickest Bartzokas substitutions I've seen in a while, because he subbed out Mustafa Fall after 4 minutes only in the third quarter. It's not like he brought in, a really different type of player. It was Nikola Milutinov, but he's still a little bit more mobile, and so it helped to stop the run. But I thought Smailagic showed what he's capable of. But it was classical Alen Smailagic performance. He scores a bunch of points. He gets a bunch of fouls in the same time period. So there was nothing new there. But I thought, the way he moves for a center, it's really special. Hoping for a breakout season for him. Said it in the podcast before the season. So he really showed in this game what he is capable of. But Olympiacos, they kept doing their thing. They kept running their offense. And in the end, it was their Spain pick and roll that Partizan couldn't cope with. A lot of miscommunications defensively, a lot of players going to help, and it's just all chaos all around in defense, and that what cost him the game. Larenzakis.
There was Larenzakis as well.
Larenzakis' fourth quarter happened. We were used to it last year, and it happened again.
15 points in the fourth quarter.
It helped that he got fouled twice, really unnecessary, by PJ Dozier. There was one situation where he was wide open in the corner. PJ, was going for a closeout and touched his legs a little bit. So that was...
He touched his toes, basically.
That was not a lot of contact. Stupid
Yeah.
contact, yeah. Not
Touch his tooth?
I mean, you should see the play.
feet.
He
Feet.
said legs, you said tooth.
I mean,
Toes, you wanted to
toes,
say, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry for the
Because
bad
I'm
pronunciation.
listening like...
Toes.
what-
Yeah,
There's-
my bad.
there's quite a gap.
Another broken English moment
Yeah, right.
coming from me.
Yeah.
And then,
That's cool, that's cool.
and then
We're
there
not
was-
native speakers.
And then there was another unnecessary foul by Dozier on Larry. And it was actually Darius Garolis came up today with another really nice fact. 3 Partizan players fouled out in under 20 minutes of playing. And this is the first time in 12 years when three players fouled out in under 20 minutes. Because Smailagic played 15, Dozier played close to 10 minutes, and Kaminsky played only 16 minutes. All of them fouled out in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, Smailagic and Kaminsky, I can understand why, because
So you just add some... You make the situation even more spicy for Partizan fans to be unhappy with the officiating.
Smailagic getting 4 fouls in 9 minutes, there is nothing
It happens
new.
in every
And
game, basically.
Kaminsky in this game was, he tried to respond with pick and pop threes, but you have to guard Milutinov or Mustafa Fall for some moments. So that's not, a dream opponent for Frank Kaminsky. And from another game, I thought Kostas Antetokounmpo played very well and sparked Panathinaikos run. Let's say in the second quarter, got some really efficient minutes. 12 and a half minutes, 10 points, 3 blocks, 15 efficiency, 6 fouls drawn. I thought he was really, one of the first games in a season when
And
he's really impactful.
Mitoglou, after not playing the EuroLeague for almost 2 years, he had a really solid performance. His numbers were good, 11 points, 5 rebounds, but what I loved, his energy and his effort, the way he changed the game in some crucial situations, stealing the balls. We discussed this unsportsmanlike situation. That was a situation where he also stole the ball, but in the fourth quarter, he also made he had some great plays. So huge impact from his side, and he's just going to get better. He's coming off the injury. He's coming off not having any basketball rhythm for that kind of stretch. So that will be a huge factor for Panathinaikos.
Not that it's the most important, stats, but his plus minus also was the best in the team. +8 in 26 minutes played. So, without him, they were kind of going down.
But man, when you think about Maccabi and the conditions they have to go through and to play in the EuroLeague, they basically didn't play any game for more than a week. Half of the team was in Cyprus, half stayed in Tel Aviv before joining them. Then you're trying to practice in those kind of circumstances, and we're not just talking about the physical things, that there's just half of the team training. We should talk about the mental things and challenges that they might face, having 700 security personnel inside games, you even, if you feel secure, but you see so much security around you, you might start feeling insecure because why you need like that kind of.
I didn't feel very secure in Chinese hotel where there was usually a guard with an AK-47.
Yeah, in every floor.
on every floor.
Yeah, because you kind of feel safe over there, but why you should bring him here? So it's not easy for these
It's tough
players
to see how they will last the whole season. I mean, definitely my statement before the season in the power rankings now goes to the trash bin. It's hard to believe they could be a number 2 seed, and at the moment I think what is in question is whether they can play the whole season. And on top of that, they're playing without Wade Baldwin.
Exactly. So you can add these circumstances, then there's no Wade Baldwin, and they were close to get that win in Valencia, and they won the game in Oaxaca. Come on, it's tough. And some performances of the players. I mean, they were closing games with Tamir Blatt, with Cohen, and I loved how Bonzi Colson performed in this double week. I think that he had consecutive 20+ performances in both games, and his presence was huge against Panathinaikos. So, I mean, kudos to this team, to the coaching staff, to the players for what they have to go through and the performance they deliver under these circumstances.
In half empty Oaxaca, though.
I was surprised. For some reason.
I was surprised to see so many empty seats there. I don't know why it happened. They lost a couple of games, and all of a sudden it's no people. I'm not sure. Anyway, Bonzi Carlson is taking, the best time replacing, injured Wade Baldwin. Not that he's replacing him in the same position, but just, he's super happy with the increased usage rate. He's averaging almost 18 points per game by shooting 21% from the 3-point range. So imagine if he starts getting his threes, and he's getting pretty good looks, with Lorenzo there and with Josh Nebo being the threats on the pick and roll. So 69% from 2. He's adding in 6.3 rebounds. We always know he's active on the offensive glass. He averages almost two rebounds there. I'm pretty surprised to see he has no assists in 89 minutes of action. So, but overall, he's been excellent.
Yeah, but he has that potential. Maybe he wasn't so consistent last season, but he definitely has the potential to be in the same discussions with Deck, Clyburn, and other great forwards that we have in EuroLeague.
So many people waited so long to see him finally in the EuroLeague. He was balling out in the Champions League for quite a couple of years, winning,
hitting game winners,
getting those everything. Accolades, MVP, first team, top scorer, you name it. So it's good to see him now on the biggest stage doing more or less the same thing.
6,451 people in Oaxaca. Wow. I didn't expect that.
You said it's so silent. What to replicate the atmosphere in Oaxaca versus Maccabi?
That's unexpected. Anyway, since we mentioned Wade Baldwin, although he was not playing, he put himself on the spotlight tweeting. There was some list. I don't remember who tweeted it. Maybe it was NBA reporter.
Baldwin stop.
So they tweeted the best available free agents that are not in the league, but they should deserve their roster spot for sure. And Wade Baldwin quoted that tweet and put this line. Wade Baldwin, the best guard in EuroLeague and overwhelming best two-way guard in all EuroLeague per the 22-23 season statistics, combining points, second in the league, assists, top 10, and PAR, fourth best efficiency in the entire league. Carry on. And if I'm correct, later he deleted that tweet. Do you think... What do you think about this whole situation? Do you think he's the best two-way guard in the EuroLeague? Did it right that he deleted later?
He definitely has the potential to be the best, to be the MVP, to be everything. I mean, he was my preseason... one of my bold predictions preseason was that Wade Baldwin was going to be the MVP this year.
Oh, okay.
So
the way he played,
the way he played the second part of the last season,
absolutely agree.
He was the best guard in the league at that time, and that was the best duo in the league at the time with him and Lorenzo. So it's not a crazy statement from his side, but also at the same time, we're talking about Wade Baldwin from the second part of the last season. But if we talk about Wade Baldwin from Baskonia or pre-Trinchieri Wade Baldwin, let's say, you wouldn't have such thoughts like he's the guy who's going to be the best guard in the league. But he does have this potential if he stays consistent, if he stays injury-free, and is it necessary for him to put out these statements on his own?
He got bored. He's not
I'm
playing,
not sure.
you know?
There's no harm in it. First of all, it's funny. Maybe I like it in some way. I could go out there and let's say put some arguments why I see him as the best guard. At the moment, I'm not fully convinced he is, let's say, the best by a gap, because there are so many great guards in the league, and 1 week you're thinking this guy's the best, and then the other week somebody else drops a double-double with 25 points and 12 assists or something like that. So, but okay, man.
Look, Rytis,
I wouldn't take it too seriously. His team won. He just wanted to say something.
He was probably bored, and you know.
Yeah.
It was a funny message, but although I'm not sure if he meant it to be funny, but he wrote it "carry on," so that's like
carry on, like Kendrick Perkins
style.
That makes it funny.
But
also there's an interesting point. We're talking about, let's say, a two-way player, so he doesn't really have any size limitations. He doesn't lack athleticism. There's no reason why he couldn't be a great two-way player. Offensively and defensively. So yeah, and that's a good point, because do we have any guard that is as athletic as Wade Baldwin is in EuroLeague right now? I don't think so. I don't really think so.
Yeah, but would you imagine yourself writing about yourself in third person? For example, Rytis Wisniauskas, the best commentator of EuroLeague and overwhelmingly the best two-way commentator and analyst in all EuroLeague. Per 22-23 season statistics, and you check all the statistics of you.
Well, 23-year-old me, 6 beers in, could do something like that. 33-year-old me...
That's why I thought it was just funny.
Hey, there's nothing wrong to be different, man. And you cannot take away that confidence from Wade Baldwin. The confidence that he has maybe made him the player that he is right now. Yeah. So I'm just, urging for those kind of tweets on Twitter from our EuroLeague stars. It just makes the whole social media activity among the EuroLeague way more interesting. We have some content to talk about, so it just adds extra to the work that we do.
Nothing wrong, but just why he deleted it,
I don't know.
Maybe some grammar mistakes, and he just didn't want it to be there.
Let's carry on, guys, I think.
I think that the following topic that we have to discuss is related to something that Wade Baldwin also tweeted. We released the first part of the player survey that we had on BasketNews. We had 23 EuroLeague players who filled the survey. Of course, the expectations were higher, but not everyone were so much involved, unfortunately, because in some cases, players just don't want to participate. In other cases, players are used to forget some things that they're asked to do, even if you repeat them twice, but no bad feelings. I believe that in the future, we will have more and more players to participate in those surveys, but it's always interesting to hear what they think, how they see some situations. And I shared the survey results with you guys. The part 1 is already available on basketnews.com. It was related to best off-season moves, EuroLeague changes that league could do, EuroLeague GOAT conversation, best teammate player to team up with, or the best current EuroLeague player. The second part, which will be, I would say, a bit spicy, about positives and negatives, like most overrated EuroLeague players or most underrated EuroLeague players, the coaches you would least like to play for, or the coaches you would love to play for the most. What answers, what responses, what results left you some interesting thoughts, impressions, or reactions?
From the second part?
From both.
From both.
I mean, ranking Tavares and Milutinov as 2 best players in the league.
That was a bit surprising to me.
Especially the Milutinov part. I mean, only Europeans participated, right?
Because in some cases you could say that only Americans have participated.
Or they were
from
just
what I saw,
were they just voting for center position? Only center position? They were picking only from centers, right?
Yeah.
I'm on Rida's actually side. I was really surprised to see
No.
Milutinov sharing the first place.
Yeah.
Like he's
Sorry,
an
there was
amazing
the
player,
mistake.
but
It was Mirotic, not Milutinov. There was a mistake.
That's quite a mistake.
Oh,
That's
okay.
quite a mistake, man.
It's good you mentioned.
Oh my god.
It was Tavares and Mirotic.
That is just a small difference, There's a couple of letters. So there.
But we saw the same thing.
It's cool. It's cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Milutinov is great. I mean, I don't have anything.
I was
against
just
him, but-
surprised, seeing him sharing the first place with over Mike and over every guard in the league.
Okay, Mirotic, fair. Although this thing with Tavares being treated as the best player in the league, it gives me so many mixed feelings. Like one morning I could wake up and agree with this take, and
After a
the
good
other
game
morning
of him.
I won't, because he's a center that has huge impact on the game. But if you take Tavares from Real Madrid and put him in a mediocre team, he wouldn't be such a huge difference maker. If you take Mike James from Monaco and put him on a mediocre team, he makes them much better.
Yeah.
So
That's a never-ending discussion.
and I know, and I love it. That's what sparks all these conversations and all that, and that's why I prefer to rank players by position, because to me the basketball is being ran by guards, by creators, and usually when you're thinking about the best players, you're thinking about those who create.
And we had those serious discussions about the MVP when Mirotic won the MVP that year, and there was Mike James in the conversation, and there was the same argument. If you put Mirotic to any other team, would he make the same impact, or did having that roster help him to reach those results, both personal accolades and
I think scoring wise, Mirotic is a machine.
But the argument was that Mike James made a bigger impact on the rest of the team, compared to the personal that he had around. So it's a never-ending discussion and ending conversation, basically.
Yeah.
And you have to rank players, and especially in EuroLeague, where it's really hard to say who's the best player in the league.
To me, it was what was interesting. Those rules that players would love to see, added to the game. And first 4 places, let's say, who had similar amount of votes was live ball timeouts. I would love this to be added, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it would increase the number of game winners, the drama. We would not be talking about the refs so much. We would be talking about the last shots or the last defenses that were so amazing, because, you can advance the ball. But I was surprised to see increase in personal fouls and defensive 3-second violation rules and challenging. So these 3 rules would make EuroLeague more like NBA and less like European style. So I'm not sure. I think we have a pretty good product, let's say basketball wise, and I'm not sure we need to be going into that direction. Like, I think live ball timeouts would already be enough to make even more drama in the European game and more game winners, and this is what actually sells, and actually attracts people to watch.
I actually like the increase in the personal fouls, because I just have this memory that I remember games where very important players, decisive players of some teams, were benched due to getting early into the foul trouble after, I would say, questionable calls, small contact, some unlucky situations. And as a fan of the products, of the quality basketball, I don't like, my star player sitting on the bench. I know that,
but it happens also in the NBA with 6 fouls.
I know that it can.
But the
open
best players,
Pandora box.
do they foul out? You mean?
Not that
because they are
often.
usually on the help side.
And especially,
not playing
that's fair.
defense.
We remember the season where I think it was FS and Barca playing overtime, and you have Shane Larkin fouled out in some stupid situation, potentially after following the referee's mistake. I think the same happened with Mirotic. So, I just had too many bad memories about good players fouling out in situations where it was not that kind of necessary, starting from the referee's decision, approaching some contact. So, a little bit more flexibility in personal fouls will help those cases. But of course, I agree that it can open a Pandora box for some different usage of this rule.
Some other interesting things I could mention is that 84% of those responded wouldn't want to play for either Ataman or Dusko Ivanovic. Well, you're not going to play for Dusko.
Now Ivanovic is out, but
I guess how many Zvezda players participated in this survey?
Jago just
Baskonia players.
Okay, most overrated player, and it's Lucas 20%.
This was interesting.
Lesor, and I could actually understand the arguments for, let's say, Brasdeikis or Lesor, why some people could vote for them as being overrated, and I could agree with some of those arguments probably. But to me, it's funny to see that
Yamadar is in top 4.
Yamadar and Oscar de Silva also got some votes. He was mentioned.
There might be some friend of his that.
How is he overrated?
Joke or something.
How is he overrated, man? Come on.
That's why my question after seeing these results, was it according to their salary?
Oh yeah,
or public opinion on them? Because I thought it's absolutely on salary, because Lucas is number 1, Brasdeikis, Yamadar, and De Silva.
I think Brasdeikis' case was different. There were these names like Mike James, Kendrick Nunn, and suddenly you end up signing Brasdeikis, and maybe some thought that, he's not worth of that buyout or that salary. I think that was the case.
So
why
maybe
they put Brasdeikis.
that's some
and it was some recency bias as well. The survey happened at the same time when Olympiacos made this move. So
ALBA Berlin player was voting for his former teammate Oscar de Silva as underrated because he's thinking, I should have signed with Barca. Why did they sign him?
We are 0-4 and they are 4-0.
Yeah, worst away city to visit.
Underrated EuroLeague player stars. That's what I like. I mean, Keenan Evans, Jordan Lloyd, definitely 2 guards that deserve more recognition than they get.
Yeah, and even mentions.
Especially Jordan Lloyd after being ranked as 30th best player in the EuroLeague by a previous survey.
Yeah. Mustafa Fall also got multiple mentions, which I agree with. Gabriel Deck, although he's getting his recognition already.
Yeah. Biggest fighter, hustler. Nothing really surprising.
A good list. Butkevicius, John Brown,
Walkup.
These are the names you could come up with on the spot if somebody stops you on the street and says, "Hey guy, who are the best fighters in the EuroLeague?" And you would probably throw these names.
And then it's like in the mentions, Larenzakis, Shengelia, Campazzo, Branko Lazic, of course.
Yeah. Kyle Hines.
Nebo, Ponitka. Like Nebo going for that offensive rebound that we talked about earlier in this podcast. So
I was a bit surprised that Campazzo actually made the top 2 in the dirtiest EuroLeague player list.
Ooh, that's no surprise, man. Like he's holding you every time he's playing defense. He's so into your body.
He's annoying.
He's so quick.
I think the prime example is 2019 World Cup.
Like,
he was getting under everybody's skin. He got under the Colo skin in the semifinal. I mean, Campazzo is definitely...
Imagine having to play against a guard who is faster than you.
Yeah.
He's so strong with his body, and it's like you are trying to go around him and to push away his arms, and he's just in front of you.
And he's also so locked in mentally.
Yeah, he's so annoying to play.
I love it that you got him to vote for the best referee.
I mean, there were so many funny responses, actually. Like, none of the referees are good enough to be ranked in this thing. I don't know names.
I think that you should have
pretty frequent responses.
You should have named this nomination not the best referee, but the least worst referee.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
the most likable referee.
Less worse than the others.
I thought about
slightly better than all the rest.
I thought about making a case for the worst referee, but I thought that they're already getting too much pressure. So let's just keep them doing their job without being in these surveys. Regarding Ataman, I mean, it's either you love him or hate him, because he was the top 2 with Dusko Ivanovic. He tied for the first place among the coaches players would least like to play for, and then in the EuroLeague coaches that you would most like to play for, Ataman was among the mentions as well. So it's very easy to explain, actually.
If I was in players' position, voting, filling that survey, the coach you would least like to play for. What are these coaches that I read in the media had 6-hour practices recently? Dusko, Ergin. Okay, these 2.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And actually, Pablo Lasso ranked first over Željko Obradović and the coaches among you would like to most play for? Laso, Obradović, and Itudis. Penroja got multiple votes. Maybe some former Baskonia players.
Some good feedback.
Yeah.
Did Darius Thompson complete this?
I'm not sure. I just sent the survey to a lot of players. I'm not sure who responded. So
anonymous survey.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there were a lot of interesting answers, and you can check all of them on basketnews.com. We will publish the part 2 soon, as well as the part 3 with the predictions for the EuroLeague winners, all EuroLeague team, Final Four teams, breakout candidates, and some other situations. Going closer to the end, let's discuss. We had this topic in the beginning, but ASVEL Villeurbanne made their move with TJ Parker. They fired him as well. But there's another case that I wanted to discuss with you guys. I was a little bit shocked when I checked the last the game they won the last time in the EuroLeague, and I was shocked to see that they actually lost 17 games in a row, and it dates back us to January 26th. Actually, the last time they won the game in the EuroLeague, and it was actually against Fenerbahce. Again, they were up by in double digits in Istanbul, but managed to lose that game in the second half. And it's not the first time we have this question watching ALBA Berlin, ASVEL Villeurbanne, maybe some other teams at the bottom of the standings, and watching them not being competitive or not participating in those top 8 conversations. So if you were in charge in the EuroLeague, what you would do with clubs, organizations like that, to make EuroLeague product better? Are you okay with that?
I don't know, man. I mean, can I force a team to build a better roster or sign a better coach or do anything like that and to force them to be more competitive?
I mean, or you're looking for a replacement for...
You strip away their license and replace them with someone else, like Paris, for example. I mean, okay, so you don't have a system which works on merit, where if you lose, you drop out. If you win, you stay. So since you don't have that system, what do? Do you react to losing streaks and just kick teams out of the EuroLeague? Like when Žalgiris was dead last, should they react in the same way? Like Žalgiris is not competitive this season. Okay, so maybe ASVEL Villeurbanne, they sign veterans like De Colo, like Laverne. Like if you're like the CEO of the league, it's not for you to judge who's making good moves in the market and who's not making good moves in the market. And then in the end, they end up losing a lot of games. Okay, so now they fired a coach. Now they fired TJ Parker. Maybe we will see some improvements. I don't know. They has a lot of patience with TJ Parker. They probably didn't see the progress they wanted. In EuroLeague, you're not tanking. There's no point in losing games. It's not NBA. So, of course, ASVEL would like to win more games, but they're just not strong enough to do that or whatever. Maybe you can start adding some limitations. What should be not the ceiling, but the floor. I'm talking about money you spend on player salaries. Like in that way, you force teams to sign more expensive players and to spend more money, but they need to have the budget. Probably EuroLeague at one point believed in Tony Parker's project and believed that maybe ASVEL is actually merging with Olympique Lyon, with the football club, and they will have more money and they will be the French team that they needed in the league at the time. Now there's Monaco representing the French league, and now we're thinking about Paris. They're doing well in the Euro Cup, and it seems like they have enough ambition. And the same regarding ALBA Berlin. I mean, okay, I think last season they could have been higher in the standings with more wins. They were not a bad team. They had good players. This season, yes, they seem lacking. They don't have any creators. It's hard to watch them play. But in the previous years, I don't think ALBA Berlin was that bad.
I mean, at the end of the last EuroLeague regular season, I checked wins and losses of all EuroLeague teams since the new format, which was introduced in 2016. Yeah. And the worst 3 teams by winning percentage in 7 years was actually ASVEL Villeurbanne, 31, Chimki, 34, ALBA Berlin, 35. And all the other teams like Zvezda, Bayern, Valencia, and Panathinaikos on my list, they went 42 and over. So it's not like, the recency bias or something. It's like a trend.
But is there a league in the world where you don't have bottom teams against whom others usually get wins or points? Is there a team in the world? Is there a league in the world like that? Not only basketball, but professional sports.
It would be nice to see, since you have, you have no merit, in the domestic leagues. It would be nice to see EuroLeague implementing some kind of way to help those clubs that are in the bottom, at the end of the season, I don't know, maybe having a priority in signing Euro Cup or BCL players or domestic league players. Like, I'm talking about absolutely hypothetical situations that are probably going never to be used, but maybe some kind of help for them to have a priority in maybe signing those hidden gems. But it's really hard to force anything to help some teams the way European basketball is structured. So it's up for the teams to do a better job in scouting the players and signing them in a way that makes actually sense. The way, let's say, Žalgiris have been doing for the last couple of years. And then it's up for the coaches to do the better job, because I don't think this ASVEL roster is as bad as it looks right now. So they have really some interesting players. So maybe it's early, and maybe they also need some more time and a new coach, and they will play better, because right now they definitely don't look like a EuroLeague team.
Yeah, I think that ASVEL just in general have more upside to improve things. First of all, they have a long-term license, so nothing can be done from the EuroLeague. I think that there's only this exception: if all teams vote to throw you out of the competition, then you might lose the license. But I'm not even sure if it's like legal or the only exception in the whole situation. With ALBA, it's tricky. They don't have any long-term license, and you have Valencia also in this tricky situation. You potentially have Russian teams back in 2, 3 or more years. You have Paris basketball, you have Dubai, you have London on the verge of joining EuroLeague, so they shouldn't feel safe. Although, I wouldn't like to throw them out. I like the whole idea. Not teams are built for winning the EuroLeague, but ALBA Berlin constantly produces some young players. They become stars in the EuroLeague, and in future, some of them go to the NBA. So for me, there's nothing wrong to have that kind of team, although given their limitations that they have and lack of upside looking long term. But it's just in this tricky environment, they're not in a safe position. With ASVEL, there's just not much you can do, except from, I don't know, if you fail to deliver with the results. It's not like they don't have a big budget. They have okay budget to be a little bit more competitive than they are right now. So you can improve your scouting services, front office services. You might change the strategy. So there's more upside. But
there is no professional league in the world of sports without outsiders.
Yeah.
And there are no guarantees that you bring in somebody else instead of ASVEL or ALBA. Maybe they even have more money. There's no guarantee that any of these teams won't have another season where they miss on all their signings, where they have injuries, they don't pick the right coach. We survived that in Lithuania when Žalgiris had the terrible year. So no one's really safe. Panathinaikos have been, is that a word in English, vegetating in the league for a couple of years also. And we're talking about one of the biggest names in European basketball. So, we would love to see in the perfect league where everyone's competing for the playoffs and all that, but maybe it's not realistic.
It's normal to have teams that suck.
And as I said, it's ALBA Berlin. The last couple of years, they were not that bad. And they had good players. And as you said, they produced players. For them, maybe ALBA was like a stepping stone to go forward, to sign good contracts with other EuroLeague teams or NBA, as you said, as well.
That's probably the worst part about ASVEL. They don't produce players to other teams. Last year, they signed, 4 guys that came from domestic league, but none of them are playing at the EuroLeague level in this season.
Well, in the beginning, they seemed like a team that's going to be known for developing young talents. Now they're just a veteran team.
Exactly. Like, it was Elio Kobo, Chris Jones there. It was an exciting season.
They were even in prospects.
Yeah.
I don't remember the French point guard before the NBA draft.
Maledon?
Maledon.
Theo
Then
Maledon.
there were expectations
Theo
with
Maledon.
Matthew Strozel. Then there was
Wembanyama.
Yeah.
They
But now they're
could
veteran.
Riza Sher.
Yeah.
They could have been the most exciting league last year, easily.
Yeah.
But they didn't keep any of those players, and
It feels
so
like
it's
they're
kind of
still
a-
looking for the direction. Now they're a veteran team, but not that kind of much of the future. So they have to find their direction. It's not easy. They're also relatively young.
It seems like
There's Tony behind it.
it's the club with the purpose to have the Colo in a good shape for Paris Olympics. That's the main purpose.
Okay, let's put it that way.
It's a joke, of course. Don't be offended if you support ASVEL Villeurbanne.
And almost for the end, we have NBA season starting on the corner.
Yeah.
Start of the season is on October 24th. And just to make a short preview for European listeners, I thought of having 3 questions surrounded by the most popular, biggest European names coming into the NBA this season. And I'm talking about Vasilije Micic, Sasha Vezenkov, and Victor Wembanyama. And I have 3 questions to you guys about them. And you're going to say in or out. You're going to argue for one or other option. And let's start with Vasilije Micic. Is Vasilije Micic going to be traded by the trade deadline this year, which is until February 8th?
That's a wild guess, and there's no right answer to it because
That's why it's interesting. Yeah, it makes more interesting.
because
We have Augustus suggested something, that kind of scenario.
It's like
right?
we have no idea how is he going to perform, what role is he going to play, and how happy is he going to be. And I would say no. I would say he'll play his season in Oklahoma.
I would say yes, just because OKC has so much young talent there, and I don't think Micic is going to get enough chances. And I think maybe GM who really enjoys Vasilije's game could take a chance at the trade deadline, maybe to improve his 7 or 8 man rotation. And I think maybe there are a couple of GMs that like him in the league, because we had rumors about him that teams want him, but it's the the problem that is OKC have his rights. And now, since he's in the league, other teams can approach him by making a trade for him. So I think it's a bit easier to get him now by those GMs that really do like him.
If you throw some nice second round picks in the package, it might happen, because Oklahoma Thunder holds a ridiculous number of first round and second round picks for the next 6 or 7 years.
514 is the number.
The number is ridiculous. So if you throw a good package, it might happen. But I would guess that he's going to play there.
There were actually rumors among basketball people that OKC might help him to build his stock before the deadline. Gonna try to push him to get some minutes, to get some better stats, and just to increase his stock before the deadline to trade him. So yeah, I wouldn't rule that out for sure. Sasha Vezenkov, is he going to get minutes in the playoffs if Kings, of course, are going to make it?
I would say he'd get minutes, but he wouldn't be in the 8-man rotation.
Okay.
Like, getting minutes means someone's in a foul trouble, someone's injured. There's a game where a blowout game, and you play the fourth quarter or something like that. He would step on that court, but
he would be out of the main
rotation. I would guess
rotation.
that he wouldn't be in the 8-man rotation.
Okay.
I agree with Ridis. I would love to see Sasha succeed. I hope nothing for the best for him. Like, I wish he plays 30 minutes in the playoffs. But I think that, in the playoffs, in NBA playoffs, the targeting gets really heavy. And in every possession is basically, the teams are targeting that 1 or 2 guys that are on the court that are playing the subpar defense. And probably Sasha is going to be that guy if he's on the court in the playoffs. So with the defenses on the other side glued to him, I'm not sure if his impact offensively outweighs, his targeting defensively. But of course, I would love to see him.
It also really depends on who they would face in the playoffs.
Of course.
If you're facing Golden State Warriors like last season, I don't think they would play a rookie. I know he's not a young player. he doesn't lack experience, but in the NBA context, he's a rookie. So if they are facing Warriors, first round of players, playoffs, best of 7, he wouldn't. I wouldn't see him in the 8-man rotation unless he performs magnificently in the regular season, or there are injuries, but that you cannot predict.
And the last one is about Victor Wembanyama. Do you think he will be selected to the NBA All-Star game?
What is the system right now? Is it only fan voting?
No, it's mixed.
Starting 5.
If it's only
based on fan voting, right? And then
not only fan voting. It's fans plus media plus players.
And the bench
50, 25, 25.
okay,
I think.
if it was only fan voting, I would say maybe. Right now, I'm thinking that still Spurs are gonna be careful with him. I wouldn't even bet on him being the rookie of the year. Actually, I think Scoot Henderson will probably play more games and more minutes, and they will be really. I'm expecting them to be really careful with Wembanyama, so it's not like he's gonna put some crazy stat lines every single night and have these great averages, and the Spurs might be even winning games, and then you're talking about an All-Star. My guess is no. If it was only a popular vote, then probably yes.
Yeah.
But since it's not, I'm thinking that no.
The last rookie to be voted to an All-Star team was Blake Griffin in 2011.
The other one was Yao Ming in 2003.
And LeBron James did not play in an All-Star game, so I'm saying no.
Okay.
And I think it's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
for that to happen, he definitely has to play without any limitations, any load management, and actually dominate.
He's doing things already in the preseason, those photos, the clips, his impact defensively is just something you never seen before.
Jaw-dropping stuff like blocking 3-point shots and then running to the other side of the court, getting fadeaway jumpers, and they're going to get used to it, and it's going to be the future of the NBA. But the rookie season, first of all, for Spurs, it wouldn't be smart to overplay him, to risk injuries and anything like that. They have to be careful. It's pretty obvious. I have one last thing, actually, guys.
Okay. Well, bring it on.
And again, it's in relation to the NBA season starting. Teams are starting to waive some players. So the Chicago Bulls recently waived Carlik Jones. Do you expect him to sign in EuroLeague, maybe?
I actually had this conversation with one guy, I would say, and he said that Carlik Jones to Baskonia would make a lot of sense.
Basketball-wise, yes. Basketball-wise, yes.
That would be nice. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I just fell in love with his game after the World Cup, and I would love to see him in Europe.
I think we'll see.
He doesn't belong in a G League. He has to play serious basketball.
And he might have a bright future here in Europe to earn a lot of money. And I expect to see many players coming over from the NBA to join clubs like Efes, Panathinaikos, who is exploring the market for some nice signings.
Baskonia, maybe even Žalgiris.
Žalgiris looking at borderline NBA players, G League type of players who probably they were waiting for the final rosters to open the season. So it should be a quite active market in the upcoming weeks. Also, we're heading into very interesting week as well. We have some huge games. Olympiacos, Anadolu Efes, they're hosting Efes. Real Madrid, Barcelona. We will have only one undefeated team since both Barca and Madrid won all of their games. Monaco, Maccabi should be a nice one, especially following this great rivalriness created in the playoffs. Žalgiris against Valencia, big game for Lithuanian fans. Panathinaikos, Baskonia, both teams are struggling 1-3. I think both started that way. And of course, Partizan, Crvena Zvezda, the anticipated derby game that we're actually going to cover. Augustas, me, also Gytis Blaževičius and Mindaugas Bartys. We're going to Belgrade to do some extensive coverage. We will do the vlog about this whole experience. We're going to do the Q&A podcast session following the derby game. So we urge you to join Beyond Plus community on basketnews.com/plus to send us your questions and potentially win some prizes.
Yep.
And we will do some other extra coverage that might be only exclusively for Beyond Plus members. We have a lot of ideas. A long, short list. I cannot call it
a long list. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Long, short list.
We have a long list of players that we want to talk to or to do some different coverage. So it should be a very interesting week.
Sorry, I just want to use this moment to give a shout out to EuroLeague, because you have to give credit where credit is due. We complain about the scheduling a lot, and I just want to give a shout out that they put Partizan Zvezda derby at 7:30 local time, and El Clasico at 9:45. So you can watch both games. I will be able to cover both games in a row, and that's great, because in the past we were complaining a lot about derby games, just great games, just clashing with each other, and you have to choose. So,
But at the same time, probably this Thursday is going to be the best regular season day in the whole
the
season.
Thursday
You have
is stacked.
You have Zvezda, Partizan.
Yeah.
You have Real Madrid, Barcelona. You have Olympiacos versus Efes, and you have Monaco versus Maccabi, a rematch of last year's playoffs.
Thursday is stacked.
Thursday is
Stacked, and on Friday.
Thursday is planned.
And on Friday, let's say you have less exciting games.
On Friday, I'm watching the games that happened on Thursday.
Oh yeah,
The replays.
yeah.
Okay, guys. So thank you all for watching us, and join Beyond Plus community to enjoy the entire experience of our trip to Belgrade to cover Red Star and Crvena Zvezda, and see you very soon.